In a minute. Or you'll text somebody in a minute.
Yeah, she will. My phone's off.
Okay. Now, 7, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And as customary, we usually have a moment of silence tonight, and during the moment of silence, if you can remember Pope Francis and pray for him. I need to announce that this meeting is being recorded and televised by WHCA. I need a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants.
So moved.
Do you hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right. I need a motion to accept correspondence in the read file.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right. We're now into public forum. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Yes, Chief.
Thank you. Just briefly, most of you are aware of it, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention officially, and we'll bring it forward at a later meeting for the recognition. On Sunday, May 13th, Lieutenant Brian Treffery was traveling on Route 24 when he came across a car accident on the other side. The vehicle had sustained heavy damage, and there was a fire in the engine compartment. He immediately stopped, went over, and with the help other people had stopped. The fire was encroaching on the engine compartment. He tried to get the window open, but eventually he was able to pull the door open. Lieutenant Treffery, along with another bystander, removed this woman from the vehicle and moved her away until emergency services arrived. I will make mention he traveled across 4 lanes of Route 24 to get over to that car, which we've talked about. But the random fire chief was quoted in the paper saying their action certainly made a difference and may very well have saved the driver's life. I will tell you, I believe they saved the driver's life. This is a prime example of the dedication of our members, no matter whether they're on duty or not to serve the public. I have recommended Lieutenant Treffery for Firefighter of the Year through the state of Massachusetts for his bravery and heroism on that day. I would like at an upcoming meeting to officially recognize Brian Treffery and schedule it so that we can have his family and the other department members here.
Absolutely. All right, thank you very much. It shows you that a firefighter's job is never done.
That's it.
Now 7:05, yes, it is a little bit past that, but with public hearing for an application of J. Maruti Incorporated, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm sorry, for a transfer of the all alcohol packaged goods store liquor license and change the DBA on the premise located at 183 South Ave from J. Maruti LLC, doing business as Whitman Convenience Store, to AUM, I'm going to say it that way, J. Maruti Incorporated, doing business as Whitman Market and Liquors. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Hear a second?
Second.
Now we're just changing it. We don't need.
Can we come up?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe they're here. They
Sure.
want to speak on it.
Did I pronounce the names? How bad did I pronounce them?
You did pretty good.
Yeah?
Yep. It was close enough, so you did pretty good.
Hey, Moss' name is Salvucci. How many times people mispronounce that?
I was going to say, you have to ask the expert. I'm not as sure if it was pronounced correctly. But thank you all for your time. Good evening. My name is Jackson Christian. I'm the attorney here representing the applicant, which is J. Maruti, Inc. And also here on behalf of the applicant is Manu Patel, who is the president, treasurer, director, one of the owners, and the proposed manager of record for the company. And the other owner, Rasit Kumar, is also here in attendance. So the applicant is going to be purchasing all of the assets, including the liquor license, from J. Maruti LLC, which is currently doing business as Whitman Convenience Store at 183 South Ave here in Whitman. So they're going to keep selling the same products, same footprint, same hours and everything. The one thing they're changing is the name, as you had mentioned. They're going to change it from Whitman Convenience Store to Whitman Market and Liquor. And so Manu here is going to be the manager of record. So he has experience. He's been the owner of Richdale Food Shops in Randolph since 2016. And they have a beer and wine license there, and they've never had any violations or issues with the town. They're going to have scanners at this location. Manu is a U.S. citizen. So really great man for the job. So there's really only three things that we're seeking from the select board tonight. The first is going to be approval of the license transfer to the applicant. The second is appointment of Manu Patel as the manager of record at the location. And the third is going to be approval of that change of the doing business as from Whitman Convenience Store to Whitman Market and Liquor. And
That's-
other than that,
yeah,
do you have
I
any
think that was
questions?
covered, all those were covered in my reading of the announcement. What did you say, Mary Beth?
Yes.
All of it was in, yep.
I'll make that motion.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
congratulations, welcome.
Congrats.
Thank you all so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very simple.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next is on the agenda is the chairman's report, and announce that there's going to be a Board of Health will conduct a drive-through rabies clinic for cats and dogs and ferrets at the Whitman VFW lot on Saturday, June 21st, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. There's a fee for $20 per animal. I just remind that. Under new business, act on the renewals from the following licenses holders for the period May 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2026, subject to submission of renewal paperwork and renewal fees and current tax status. It's the fuel storage licenses. I'm not reading all the companies. Junk collectors licenses, junk dealers licenses, and pool table license. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Then we have, next on the agenda is act on the application of Dennis Nash, Old Colony Brewery, for a one-day liquor license for the brewery garden between the hours of 12 noon to 4 p.m. during the Whitman Day 2025 event on Saturday, June 14th, 2025, in the Whitman Town Park, subject to the application signatures on the application and a $50 license fee, and a certificate of liability insurance stating Old Colony Brewery has general liability and $1 million liquor liability coverage for the duration of the event. The certificate should list the address of the event and the identity of the town of Whitman as the additional insured. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Hear a second?
Second.
Is there anybody here from, sure, would like to speak?
I just was wondering,
And thank you for doing this.
yeah, thank you guys. I was just wondering if you had any feedback from last year or any questions or anything after our first beer garden.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
I think it's outstanding. I think it's something that we should look to expand and potentially do more of.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's really good for the community. I think it works in a lot of ways for local businesses. You know, it's a win-win. So, no, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
All right, anybody else?
Likewise, I stopped by the beer garden last year. It was great.
Nice.
No?
I'll be there all day, not drinking though.
We've had a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Take care.
There is a proclamation for a motorcycle safety awareness period from 3:23 to 4:30. I'm not going to read it, but I'd like to say that what it's about is right now, there's a lot of motorcycles that are on the road, and it's time that people need to address the situation and drive carefully. My son might be one of them. Just be careful and be respectful for the motorcycle drivers. Okay, next on the agenda is Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Program. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, let's go with discussion.
So I can start this one. So this had been a proposal to amend a previous vote of town meeting. I think my recommendation last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever we discussed it, was that rather than adjust the town meeting vote, which had set the hours previously, we could adjust the select board's vote, which set the wage. So I think, and Mary Holland is here, I don't know if you want to add anything to it. I think what the seniors were looking for was not necessarily the ability to work more hours to hit the cap, but to be able to hit the cap. So we can adjust the wage up to $16 an hour from 15, keep the same 125 hours, and if I'm doing my math right, that would be, you'd hit the $2,000 cap.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. So my only question, I guess, though, is you adjust the cap up to 2,000. There's a wage in there now, and there's an hour in there now. So the cap goes up. Does that mean that they now would work the extra few hours to get to the cap if they want to?
So no, that this, I guess for the current fiscal year, I don't know how that would work. Are we?
This would be for next
This would be for
year.
next year. So,
Yeah.
so we're making a vote. Yeah, we're changing the wage for next year. If we adjust it to $16 an hour, if they work the 125 that they are set to work,
That
they
would
would hit
bring
the
them up to
cap.
the cap.
Bring
Okay.
to exactly the cap.
Okay.
Okay.
And that way, if the state raises the cap in the future, we can adjust the wage by a vote of this board rather than a town meeting vote adjusting the hours. This happens more frequently, so it
Okay.
should
Sounds
be
perfect.
easier.
Anything else, Sean, you have anything to say about? No? Okay, sounds good. All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay, set the meeting schedule for next couple of meetings. I'm thinking we need to meet before a week before town meeting. We have some business to take care of, so I'm looking at April 29th, that Tuesday, if it's okay, at 7 o'clock. And May 5th, that's the night of town meeting. We'll leave it that date, and we'll decide when we want to, the time we want to meet.
Yeah, I think that works. And yeah, town meeting, we usually meet
Yeah,
the hours before.
yeah. That work?
Yep.
Okay. That work? Okay.
Yeah, sure. I have those dates down.
What we got next? Did I skip over your?
No, budget update is next.
Oh, yeah, budget update, sorry. There you go.
I think there's Sean.
Sean, budget update.
Yes, thank you. I want to give an update on the budget forum. I have some prepared remarks, so I'd just like to read them if you don't mind. The first override forum was effective. We had a great turnout and were able to share some important information. We also got some feedback that will help us moving forward. I'll be working with Justin and Mary Beth and Kathy to update the presentation. Our goal is not to debate the override one way or the other. We want to encourage citizens to come to the forum and ask questions, even difficult questions, or to seek answers to something that's been bothering them. Our goal is to be informative and transparent, to provide answers to questions and address areas of frustration. I believe that when we're able to surface these areas of frustration and clarify our reasoning, whether you agree with the override or not, most people will gain an appreciation for the process we followed and will be able to make better decisions about Whitman's future. With that in mind, respectfully, I would like to address some key areas of frustration that were surfaced at the forum. The first one, there's a shared concern that we are not following the 5% Madden recommendation for the school district. The budget guidelines for Mr. Madden can be a helpful rule of thumb to stay within Proposition 2.5. The reason we are requesting an override, however, is because we will exceed those guidelines on both the town side and for the school district if we want to maintain level services. To demonstrate this point, simply use this logic. If we decrease the school assessment to 5%, we would still have a $1 million deficit. So this is clearly a shared override. I think that's a critical point that we want to emphasize. And at the next forum, I think we can get into this in a bit more detail to explain. A second concern. There's also concern about the use of one-time money, free cash on the town side, and the use of ESSER and COVID money that was used to fund full-time positions in the school system. We, the select board, have been reluctant to use one-time funds over the years. We've adopted financial policy that guides our decisions in this manner. In addition, we've made it a priority to work more collaboratively with the Finance Committee this year, and we're proud of the progress we've made. Our financial policy is a big part of that collaboration. The Whitman Select Board has also worked with the Hanson Select Board to hire an outside firm to audit the school department. We reviewed the audit publicly at one of our recent meetings and explicitly talked about the ESSA funds and how they were being used to fund long-term positions. We shared this concern and publicly discussed it. Moving forward, it would be helpful if the school district would explain to the people of our community how the ESSA money impacts the budget, big or small, so that we all have a better perspective about this topic. The third concern. There were some concerns because we are proposing a $2 million override that doesn't truly fix the problem, I think, is the way that it was worded. Over the course of the past year, we have worked hard to develop a complete Article 2 budget forecast for fiscal 26, fiscal year 27, and fiscal year 28. A detailed forecast is something that we haven't had in the past. It's a tool that should be appreciated and one that has allowed us to analyze the budget in more depth and complexity. We share similar concerns about the long-term sustainability of the budget, but we have strategically chosen to opt for the lesser, smaller override. Our goal has centered around collaboration and compromise. For some in our community, the problem is that our taxes are too high. And the solution to that problem is to decrease services. That's their fix. For others, the problem is that our services are essential and they want to invest in Whitman. And the solution to that problem is to raise more funds. That's their fix. We, the Select Board, have opted to collaborate with the Finance Committee and present a bit of a compromise. Does that mean that there's a potential for an override next year? It may. Does it mean that we'll have to do more with less? It does. In either case, we will have more precise information next year. It'll give us a chance to see how our revenues respond, and the people of the town will play an active role in the process. So that's some of the strategy behind the decision to propose a smaller override. In a sense, that's our fix. Lastly, there was a concern because the single-family tax bill slide that we showed at the forum showed us near the bottom compared to our neighboring communities. This was a concern because the speaker thought that the DPW and the other building projects had not been added to the tax bill. Have not been added to the tax bill. We need to be more clear about this issue. The DPW has kicked in, as Mary Beth Carter explained after the concern was shared at the meeting. So that's a misunderstanding that would be helpful to formally clarify, moving forward. In addition, we did include information at the forum by sharing a slide about the other building projects and their impact on the single-family tax bill. But again, we need to be more clear about this issue so people are able to obtain an appropriate perspective. Compared to our new neighboring communities, we are coming from the bottom and we will move closer to the middle. That's the key takeaway that people need to know. And sharing some numbers in a way that people can understand is important. So we can definitely improve in this area. And for me, I think those are the key concerns that were shared in some response. And I think we can update the presentation so that we're going to have a forum tomorrow at the Senior Center. And then another forum on May 1st. So.
Justin, did you want to say anything?
Just that I thought the forum went really well, but I do kind of share some of the concerns Sean was getting at. That I think my biggest worry right now is that voters are making an informed decision. So obviously there are two very potentially different outcomes here, but I don't want to hear from anybody after an override potentially fails that said, "Oh, I didn't think it would, increase class sizes by that much." Or I want them to really, all the voters to really understand what it is that they're voting on. Or if, someone has supported the override, it passes, and then they're surprised by their tax bill. So, this is a big question. I think we need to make sure that the community has all of the information at hand when they make it.
Thank you.
I think the tough road that we're trying to walk is to present detailed information so that the people who want more depth can understand the budget in more depth and complexity, but also not to swamp people with details and lose just the kind of basic message. So we want to be clear and concise and maybe have some backup information for those who want more. But the feedback has been helpful. I've had another number of people have reached out to me directly with feedback, and I think it's informed the way that I'll make adjustments moving forward. So.
Yeah, I wasn't at the entire meeting when they had it, I had a Central VOTEC meeting on that same night, but people have come to me and voiced their opinion on what they heard. And the main thing for seniors is whether or not they can afford, the override on what they live on, and whether or not it's, if it's not going to happen, how is it going to hurt the town as far as the town services, police, fire, DPW? That's their main concerns, and that's one of mine. Considering since I owe the fire department my life for saving me, thank you very much. But wondering if the schools are over budgeting. That's what their concern is. What they're giving out for raises with their higher, not just the teachers, but the administration. And did they go over and above what they should have done? Because we're very conservative in what we're doing in our town contracts. Were they conservative in what they were doing? Both in the teachers and in management. So that was the concern that they came to me about. And I can understand that, and that's what they're worried about.
Yeah, we wanted to be able to point to certain, like the audit information that we had and we gave a presentation on. If we can link that in the presentation so people can see this is what some of the information we got back from the audit, or this is the information in the budget document that explains, some of those details. I think at the crux of some people's frustration is the school budget more than the town's budget? Are we cutting more than they are? And seeing, is there some equity in, like, why should this be so much on the town side? For me, going back to that, the 5%, if we drop the school budget by $1 million, so right now they're at a $2 million, they're asking for $2 million. Remember that it's a $20 million assessment. So 1% on $20 million is $200,000, right? So 10% is what they're currently asking for, just under 10% is $2 million. So if they ask for 5%, that's 5 times 2, that's $1 million. That would drop the deficit by $1 million if they're at 5%. That means there's still $1 million on the town in a sense. Right. And even if we drop them to 4%, that would be $1.2 million that we're eliminating from the deficit if we drop them to 4%, but that would still leave $800,000 on the town side. So it's pretty clear that, from our numbers, when we're living in the budget, that this is a shared override, So being more clear or trying to explain that more thoroughly, I think will be helpful to alleviate that concern.
Yeah, that's not how people, when they looked at what the increase in the school budget was and what we're looking for an override, they thought it was, I was asked, well, why can't we just do an override to fund the schools? And I said, well, because it's schools and town, issues, right? But that's what they were looking at,
And I know they are, because it's a regional school district, they're running all of their own programs. They have their own payroll, they have their own HR, all the stuff that we do internally that other towns that don't have regional districts manage within general government services. The regional school district has to handle themselves. So when we're struggling with pension obligations and insurance increases and utility bills, they are too, and they just have to take that and assess it back to the towns. So it's a really difficult thing to say it's on one or the other when it's the same issues really driving both.
For a good example is there was recently on social media a graph that showed the police department going up, and then the fire department going up, and then the school department going up higher. But you have to be careful about that comparison because, again, the police and the fire department, we should be looking at those things, but health insurance and the pension, liability isn't included in the departmental budgets. And those are the two big ones that are killing us this year. We often see like in double-digit increments going up. So if you take those two big things out of the departmental budgets, they look a little bit more normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the school, they have the health insurance and that pension stuff that's baked in. So it's not an apples to apples comparison if you're just looking at the school versus a department. if that makes sense. Yeah, I remember.
And I will say, last year, I thought I was really clear from my point of view that the difference holding at a 5%, our shortage was the difference in the school's assessment. And I wanted a school override because I had reduced the town's budgets. Really cut. This year, yes, they're at 9.65. I just ran a scenario to pull them back at 5 just to see, and it is a shared, as I could see very clearly that it was, both sides because of our fixed costs going up. Our salaries aren't high here. And, we have the solid waste costs, we have the health insurance, we have the pension. And yes, we've expanded in technology because there's a need and we needed to do that. There are certain areas that, yes, we have grown, but really we have cut back and kept everything really low. So last year, for sure, I said 5% and I reduced everybody's budget significantly. So I think that was a little where some of this is coming from. We cut last year, but the schools, got their full amount that they wanted.
Right.
This year, looking at the numbers, it's a shared override. I agree.
Yeah, I'm just quite curious of what they gave out for raises. I know what South Shore Tech did, and I know what we did for the town, in the contracts that I dealt with. And I don't think that schools are even close to that. I think they're probably way over what we're looking for. And everybody's job is important. I know teachers are teachers, right? And their job is important, but so aren't the others. So aren't police, fire, so aren't DPW, so aren't town hall workers. So it all comes together, right? And they all got a value, and you deal with it. Okay. I guess next we're going to executive session.
Do you want to do town administrator?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was it. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just have two quick items. Just an update on the municipal aggregation plan update. We've, partnered with Good Energy, and we've been going through all the necessary steps. And the town recently received notice from the Department of Public Utilities that the town's municipal aggregation plan has been approved. So that was a big step in the process. So the next step will be will occur in June when the town goes out to bid for the electricity rates. And then information regarding the rates should be going out to the residents, I would say, by late summer. Approximately at this point, there's certain waiting periods and notifications and mailings going out, but we're moving forward with that. So hopefully we'll see some good rates in June, and we'll be moving forward.
All right. On that note, like myself, I hunt for good electricity rates, and I just signed I think maybe a 1 year with NRG, right, for a lower rate than what they, previous one, down, a cent. But anyways, I can't, I wouldn't be able to get out of that until my contract is up, and then I can go. Is there any time frame where people have to join that, or can they do it anytime?
So this is an opt-out. So everybody will be notified of this through this whole period of informing all the residents, and they'll have a certain time frame and a process in which to follow if they don't want to automatically be included in. And so if they have questions and information, we will direct all that to Good Energy.
And I would just say, with the exception of people like Dan and myself who do have our own third-party suppliers, because we have separate contracts, the automatic transfer is only for people on the basic, which is National Grid's service.
But so they're going to ask us to opt out because we're locked into a rate until that contract is over. And then if we see that the rate that the town has is much lower, we're going to go with the town.
Yeah. then we'll jump
So
in.
is that a question that may be on the on the thing that we have to fill out?
As far as the time frame and
Yeah.
when you can, you'd have to wait until your time expired there with that plan. And then,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because, who wouldn't want to get on the plan?
Right.
It would just be if the third party that you find is at a lower rate than the town's able to aggregate. And that just depends on the time
Yeah.
your supplier goes to market versus Good Energy versus National Grid. That's really the only thing determining the supply rates.
Yeah.
And National Grid bids on 6-month contracts I think it's like the spring and the fall. It's twice a year they go out to bid, and that really drives their rates. The reason that the 3-year rates tend to be a little lower is that you're committing
locked
for a
in.
long period. Yeah, you're locked in there. So
Right.
fluctuations, you don't get to reprice it.
Right.
But there'll be a lot of information in the mailings going out to the residents on all this. And the other item I have is the Sharps Needles and Drug Turn-In Day
Very important.
is Wednesday, Saturday, April 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It will be held at the Whitman Police Department parking lot, 20 Essex Street. This is a drive-through event, no need to get out of your car. And what will be accepted: needles, diabetes supplies, fertility treatment supplies, cancer hospice supplies, EpiPens, auto-injectors, old or unused meds.
Yep.
They take it all. Clean it all out of your house and get it away from your kids, grandkids, and pets. It's for Whitman residents only, no commercial medical waste.
Now, you want to repeat that date and time again? so
Yes,
people know?
so that is on April 26th, Saturday, April 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And if you have any questions, you can certainly call 781-618-9778.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it. That's all I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you don't mind mentioning, the Whitman Little League Parade is Saturday, 9 a.m., and it's going to be going right through the center of town.
Okay.
This Saturday?
Saturday.
Whitman Little League Parade,
Okay.
is Saturday, 9 a.m., going through the center of town. My grandson will be in it.
Thank you. You gonna walk with them?
Not with him, but I'll be there.
Okay, we need to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law C-30A, 21A3, to discuss the strategy with respect to collective bargaining and grievances filed by a Whitman firefighter union, Local 1769. As an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the town as declared by the chair. And next after that, we're going to go into another executive session pursuant to Mass General Law 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Whitman Public Library Union, SEIU, Local 888, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair, so the chair so declares. And then another one, third one, executive session pursuant to Mass General Law C-30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Whitman Department of Public Works Union, AFSCME, Council 93, Local 170. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares. And also, we're going to go in another executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Section 30A, Mass General Law C 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Whitman Town Hall Union, OPEIU Local 6. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position, the chair so declares. And then finally, executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Section 30A, Section 21, 7, to comply with the act under the authority. How's that?
Excuse me, sorry.
Better? Okay, Section 21A7, to comply with and act under the authority of the general law, special law on federal grants in aid requirements, to review and approve executive session minutes of 5/22/22, 5/10/22, 5/24/22, 6/2/22, and 6/7/22. We will adjourn executive session and come back into open session to vote on the MOUs with the public library employees, SEIU Local 888, and vote on the MOU with the Whitman Department of Public Works, AFS CME, Council 93, Local 17. I'm ready. I need a motion to go into executive session.
I will make that motion.
Wow. Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes. We're now in executive session.
Well done, Dan.
Wow.
Just make sure Paul.
Okay, I need a motion to get back into into open session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we're back in the open session. What I need is a vote on the MOU with the Whitman Public Library Employee Unions, SEIU Local 888. Do I hear a motion to accept?
So I'll make a motion to ratify that contract and authorize Dan to sign it on behalf of the board.
No second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I need a vote to, on the MOU with the Whitman Department of Public Works Union, AFSCME Council 93, Local 17. Do I hear a motion to ratify?
Motion to ratify and authorize Dan to sign it.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it? Motion to come out.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, excuse me.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're done. Good night, Carol.